Greetings! We lead off this broadcast with an extended analysis of the Artemis SLS engine chilldown issue and the reaction we're seeing in the Twitterverse to NASA's news conference on Tuesday evening. If you'll bear with us, we have a series of presentation slides which articulate our thoughts. It is unfortunate that a potential cloud of uncertainty and concern is part of the upcoming countdown. NASA's communications need to dispel any notion that this attempt is another example of go fever. The incomplete nature of the path forward is leading to speculation and commentary that could be resolved if NASA managers on Thursday provide the kind of thorough briefing that the space community expects before the launch attempt. Up front, our headline asks if NASA has a communications problem. Judging from some tweets in our feed, it appears so. First, we see Bill Harwood of CBS raising obvious and important questions that need answers at the Thursday briefing. Will the software still stop the count? And what happens if the chilldown isn't adequate during engine startup? Eric Berger of Ars Technica respects SLS manager John Honeycutt, but says there will be hell to pay if he's wrong about the temperature sensor issue. By the way, Mr. Honeycutt has managed SLS since October of 2015, after serving as SLS Deputy Chief Engineer. He started at NASA in 1999 and has received a Silver Snoopy Award for safety. Homer Hickam, who needs no introduction, seems to express concern by quoting NASA managers who wanted to proceed with the Challenger launch despite engineering objections. Various Twitter responses expressed anxiety over the apparent decision. Quote, seems like an unnecessary risk. I have the SLS sweats, unquote. Another, quote, has the hallmark of SRB O-rings, unquote. Also, concern about the 18 months that the boosters have been stacked. Here's one that says it reminds him of the Challenger situation and one who questions even flying crew on the second flight. Lori Garver, a longtime SLS skeptic, noted that this launch is more than an ordinary test flight, given the time and expense put into the Space Launch System and Orion programs. CNBC's Michael Sheets conducted a poll wondering if NASA would proceed without a rollback for an astronaut mission. Overwhelmingly, 80% of the 1,050 participants thought rollback would be ordered. Later, Berger says that an astronaut spouse asked him the same question, and he did not have an answer. Another Sheets tweet pointed out that the presser lacked clarity. Indeed, the Tuesday briefing was a bit of a shambles. The opening remarks by mission manager Mike Serafin failed to mention that the temperature data was considered questionable and might be bypassed in the launch attempt. The second question to the panel from Harwood, one of the finest reporters at the Cape, elicited the first mention of the sensors by Honeycutt nearly 20 minutes into the briefing. It took additional questioning before the possible action to ignore the sensors even came up. The apparent reticence of the NASA panel to disclose their options was bound to raise concerns, and we saw some of that today. The briefing following the readiness review on Thursday will undoubtedly bring further details that clarify whether managers are incurring any additional risk to the launch by pursuing a workaround of the sensor data, if indeed that course of action is required. The fact that this test flight is uncrewed should be irrelevant to the tolerable level of risk in the launch. It's obvious that success is crucial to maintain the program and its schedule, and the flight must continue to be treated as though astronauts were aboard. It would be especially devastating if a launch catastrophe with an engine failure or explosion resulted from the Chilldown decisions. The practical impact would be the least of NASA's concerns. Just imagine the investigation panels, hearings, management shakeups, and endless op-eds. It would be an unthinkable setback. Failure of the mission is always a possibility, but a pre-launch waiver of standards that leads to a spectacular visual calamity would be the worst possible outcome. Arguing in favor of changing the criteria is the successful chill-down and engine operation during the green run test at Stennis. Beginning the chill-down process earlier, like they did at Stennis, may take care of the problem before there is any need to consider waiving the current temperature sensor red lines. It also must be acknowledged that it is appropriate to consider the impact of another month or more delay that would result from rolling back to the VAB to replace the sensors. Ironically, there is already concern expressed by some skeptics about the repeated solid rocket motor life extensions, particularly regarding the joint seals. So adding more time to the flow and another round of travel to and from the VAB could theoretically incur some small degree of additional risk. Granting that all other readings and the basic physics of the system point to a good chill down, regardless of the sensors, it is pertinent to ask, is there any conceivable way that the plumbing might have changed in some way since the green run to show good flow yet not sufficiently cool the engines? If there is engineering agreement that such a scenario is impossible, then a temperature sensor override, if required, would be an acceptable option. But we need to hear that there is no engineering dissent. For all these reasons, the Thursday Readiness Review and Briefing will be unusually interesting and important. Solid rationale and defensible judgments will promote public confidence when the countdown resumes. On Tuesday at 10:40 p.m. Pacific Time, Falcon 9 launched 46 Starlink satellites to low Earth orbit from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. This was the 7th flight for this Falcon 9 first stage booster, which previously launched Sentinel-6 Michael Freilich, DART, and now 5 Starlink missions. For those keeping track at home, this was the 58th dedicated Starlink mission, the 115th reused first stage, and the 39th flight of the year. Elon Musk confirmed a tweet by Eric Berger that SpaceX is planning 100 launches next year. The Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines announced that they will become the first in the industry to adopt Starlink Internet on every one of their ships. Norway has also been added to the Starlink system this week. Wednesday's scheduled launch of Blue Origin's New Shepard Flight NS-23 was postponed by bad weather and is now tentatively reset for Thursday from West Texas at 8:30 a.m. Central Daylight Time. No adventurer astronauts will be aboard this dedicated payloads flight, which has 36 payloads from academia, research institutions, and students. Blue reports that 2 of the payloads will fly on the exterior of the booster, and 18 are funded by NASA, mostly by the Flight Opportunities Program. It will be the 4th flight of New Shepard this year, the first payload-only mission since NS-17 last August, and the 9th flight for this particular vehicle. Blue says this particular capsule is dedicated to payloads. 24 payloads are from K through 9 schools, universities, and STEM-focused organizations, including the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, American Society for Gravitational and Space Research, and the SHAD Canada STEM Foundation. This is double the number of education-focused payloads from previous payload flight manifests. Vice President Harris was quoted as expressing strong support for the Artemis exploration program in a press gaggle boarding Air Force Two yesterday at KSC, according to Marcia Smith of SpacePolicyOnline.com. Harris said the return from investment in space is immense, and even extended that praise to the Apollo program, something many in her party were reluctant to say in the past. Quote, "The last time we put people on the moon, there was so much that came out of that," unquote. Space enthusiasts should be very pleased about this expression of lunar exploration enthusiasm. Great news today about our intrepid Voyager 1 spacecraft. A data transmission issue on a critical system has been remedied, but the root cause is still under investigation. Earlier this year, the probe's Attitude Articulation and Control System, AACS, which keeps Voyager's antenna pointed at Earth, began sending garbled information about its health and activities to mission controllers, despite operating normally. The rest of the probe also appeared healthy as it continued to gather and return science data. The team has since located the source of the anomaly. The AACS had started sending the telemetry data through an onboard computer known to have stopped working years ago, and the computer corrupted the information. Suzanne Dodd, Voyager's project manager, said that when they suspected this was the issue, they opted to try a low-risk solution, commanding the AACS to resume sending the data to the right computer. Engineers don't know yet why the AACS started routing telemetry data to the incorrect computer, but it likely received a faulty command generated by another onboard computer. If that's the case, it would indicate that there is an issue somewhere else in the spacecraft. The team will continue to search for that underlying issue, but they don't think it's a threat to the long-term health of Voyager 1. Quote, "We're happy to have the telemetry back," said Dodd. "We'll do a full memory readout of the AACS and look at everything it's been doing. That will help us try to diagnose the problem that caused the telemetry issue in the first place. So we're cautiously optimistic, but we still have more investigating to do," unquote. Voyager 1 and 2 have been exploring our solar system for 45 years. Both probes are now in interstellar space, the region outside the heliopause, or the bubble of energetic particles and magnetic fields from the sun. It's positively mind-boggling that these incredible machines are still operational. Speaking of far-out exploration, solar system scientist Alan Stern tweeted about the 30th anniversary of the discovery of the Kuiper Belt when the first KBO, Albion, was found. David Jewett and Jane Liu are credited with that discovery. Several thousand objects have since been discovered beyond Neptune, making them trans-Neptunian objects. Stern's spacecraft, New Horizons, is now exploring the belt. Our Just Wonderful Space Telescope is back today with another spectacular image inspecting the heart of the Phantom Galaxy M74. Webb's sharp vision has revealed delicate filaments of gas and dust in the grandiose spiral arms which wind outward from the center of this image. A lack of gas in the nuclear region also provides an unobscured view of the nuclear star cluster at the galaxy's center. M74 is a particular class of spiral galaxy known as a grand design spiral, meaning that its arms are prominent and well-defined, unlike the patchy and ragged structure seen in some spiral galaxies. The Phantom Galaxy is around 32 million light-years away from Earth in the constellation Pisces, and lies almost face-on to Earth. This, coupled with its well-defined spiral arms, makes it a favorite target for astronomers studying the origin and structure of galactic spirals. Webb gazed into M74 with its mid-infrared instrument, MIRI, in order to learn more about the earliest phases of star formation in the local universe. These observations are part of a larger effort to chart 19 nearby star-forming galaxies in the infrared by the International Physics at High Angular Resolution in Nearby Galaxies, or PHANGS, P-H-A-N-G-S, collaboration. Those galaxies have already been observed using Hubble and ground-based observatories. The addition of crystal-clear Webb observations at longer wavelengths will allow astronomers to pinpoint star-forming regions in the galaxies, accurately measure the masses and ages of star clusters, and gain insights into the nature of small grains of dust drifting in interstellar space. Hubble observations of M74 have revealed particularly bright areas of star formation known as H2 regions. Hubble's sharp vision at ultraviolet and visible wavelengths complements Webb's unparalleled sensitivity at infrared wavelengths, as do observations from ground-based radio telescopes such as the Atacama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array, or ALMA. ESA's Solar Orbiter will make its next flyby of Venus on Sunday, September 4th, at an altitude of about 4,000 miles. The gravity assist will adjust the craft's orbit around the Sun in preparation for subsequent flybys that will continue to raise the orbital inclination so that the orbiter can see more of the Sun's polar regions. The next gravity assist pass will come in February 2025. In late March 2022, while enduring temperatures of some 500 degrees Celsius from within the orbit of planet Mercury, Solar Orbiter returned spectacular imagery of the Sun during its first close encounter. Instruments revealed a variety of features, including something scientists are nicknaming the Hedgehog, with spikes of hot gas reaching out in all directions. Classed as a small-scale feature, the Hedgehog measures over 15,000 miles across, with gas temperatures of around 1 million degrees. The image has been color-coded because the original wavelength detected by the instrument is invisible to the human eye. Solar Orbiter's 10 science instruments began all working together for the first time. Some are looking at the Sun, while others are simultaneously measuring the environment around the spacecraft, enabling scientists to connect what they see happening at the Sun to what the orbiter feels at its location in the solar wind millions of miles away. In the weeks around this close approach, it also observed several flares and even a coronal mass ejection, providing a taste of space weather forecasting at Earth. Its next solar encounter, at a slightly closer distance of 0.29 astronomical units, or AUs, is set for October 13th, followed by similar perihelia next April 23rd and October 7th. For your Thursday, be sure to celebrate National No Rhyme Nor Reason Day, recognizing words such as purple that will not rhyme with other words in the English language. And that's the way space is today. Until tomorrow, ad INEXPLORATA toward the unknown in the measureless arena of space. Stay tough and competent. Thanks for watching.
For the fourth session in a row, stocks closed lower. 10 of our index stocks rose, however, with launch providers Rocket Lab, Terran Orbital, and Virgin Orbit leading the pack. All the losses, with the exception of Planet Labs, were under 2%. Reporting from cyberspace, this is correspondent Karen Calvis.